The Super Bowl is 6 days away. Let's play more or less. D. Wood, Christian McCaffrey, more or less 90.5 rushing yards.
I want to go less here. This Kansas City Chiefs defense is no joke. This is the unit that's led this team all year. I think it's going to be Christian McCaffrey is the head of the snake as it relates to San Francisco 49ers on offense. They're going to be keying in on him all game long.
All right, so would that mean a big day passing the ball? Graz, will Brock Purdy have more or less than 1.5 passing touchdowns?
Yeah, I'm going to go with less. Look, it is. I'm going to say exactly what D. Wood said about Steve Spagnuolo's defense with Kansas City. It's been outstanding all year. Best defense they've had since Patrick Mahomes became the starter. And that add in how good Spagnuolo has been at game planning defense in the playoffs, even when he didn't have top-level talent on defense, I think it's going to be a showcase for that Chiefs defense on Sunday.
All right, so our predictions don't bode well for San Francisco's offense. How about KC? Dominique, Travis Kelce, more or less than 7.5 catches?
I think it's definitely going to be more. Travis Kelce is obviously the number one weapon, and he's getting up there in years. I'm not sure how many more Super Bowls we'll see for Travis Kelce. I expect him to be as much of a part of the offense this week as he was last week in the game against the Ravens. They're going to force it to Travis Kelce because he's the guy that Patrick Mahomes trusts. I think that they go to him more, and he catches more than 7.5.
He's been so good in this postseason after a season in which it looked like perhaps he had lost a step. And so we have a variety of questions that we'll dive into as this week goes, getting set for the big game, because there were so many fascinating storylines. But let's start, Dominic, with what I think is the most obvious. Patrick Mahomes, the coronation, we are watching right before our eyes, already one of the great careers in the history of the sport. This is his 6th season as their starter. Would you say this is his best run to the Super Bowl so far?
I absolutely think so. I thought it was last year when we saw them make a run without Tyreek Hill and with some issues with a rebuilt offensive line. We saw him do it last year, and I thought it was really incredible and impressive for them to win it. But if he's able to win this year, I think with a worse team around him, once again, a better defense, granted, a much better defense, but a less talented team, tackles that are struggling, receivers that are having a difficult time even catching the ball, and then going through the Dolphins and then Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and the Ravens, who seemed unbeatable, and then the 49ers again. I don't know how Patrick Mahomes can keep outdoing himself, but if they win the Super Bowl again this year, then I do think this has been even better run than he had last season.
It's worth noting that they beat a 2 seed, and the names you just mentioned, a 2 seed, a 1 seed, and now they're going up against another 1 seed. So the road, and specifically having done it on the road, D. Wood it couldn't actually be harder than it has been for what he has done.
Right. What was the question coming into the postseason? Like we didn't have many questions that relate to Patrick Mahomes. Was okay. Let's see, can you go on the road and get to that destination in Las Vegas? And he's absolutely done that. It is so hard to be a wild card team and win 3 straight playoff games. But what we've seen is Steve Spagnuolo and that defense has been playing lights out football, and Patrick Mahomes has been doing what Coach Belichick used to tell us all the time. He doesn't lose games. Right. He makes all the right plays. So when you have that combination, they're just going to be hard to beat.
I think the great champions a lot of times are the people that can solve the puzzle the best, right? And so all year we're talking about the Chiefs, and they're dropping passes, and they're lining up offsides on offense somehow, and they're doing these things that are costing them games. Are they going to get it together? No, I don't think they're going to get it together. But Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they never took that, right? They don't have that option to say that. They continued to work, right? Let's continue to make sure Marquez Valdes-Scantling knows we still believe in him so that he will make the big catch when we need him to. And in the meantime, let's lean into what we do well. Let's work on Pacheco in the running game. So you've got to the point now, if you're the Chiefs, where you are playing your best football of the season at the exact right time. And you can't escape this feeling that they knew all along it was going to be okay, even if they didn't.
The coaching is so extraordinary. Can he or can't he? Chris, can Patrick Mahomes win the Super Bowl if he doesn't get a huge game from Rashee Rice? Can he or can't he?
He can, and he won the Super Bowl last year without having a 100-yard receiver. Now I think it makes it a lot easier if he got production from Rashee Rice, because he's been absolutely phenomenal this postseason. But his receivers have been more reliable once we've gotten to the playoffs. They're not dropping the passes, the dimes that Patrick Mahomes is putting on them. You got to think that San Francisco is going to key on Travis Kelce, try to take him away. Rashee Rice and those other receivers are going to have to step up and make plays in order for the Chiefs to win.
Go to the tight end, one of the go-to targets, of course, always, Travis Kelce. Can Kelce win Super Bowl MVP? Can he or can't he?
He can, and here's the thing. If he wins the Super Bowl and gets Taylor Swift to marry him in the same night, I don't give a damn what anybody else does in the game. Travis Kelce is Super Bowl MVP. He is Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl 58. He is the MVP if he pulls that off. His lady just got 13 Grammys, and he might get another Super Bowl ring and go back-to-back championships. So like he said, you got to fight for your right to party. He would have earned his right to be Super Bowl MVP.
Speaking of partying, there's his brother. Can Jason Kelce keep his shirt on during the Super Bowl? Can he or can't he?
He can, but that don't mean he's going to keep his shirt on during the celebration. It's probably going to happen once they start popping bottles after the game is over with. He's not going to wait to get back to the hotel. So I'm going to say he can during the game, but I think once the game is over with, shirt is coming off.
It was 15 degrees there when he did that. The Super Bowl's indoors.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any chance.
No chance.
And it's in Vegas. Let's do some NFL offseason overreactions because, Dan, you have some interesting ones. And let's start in Big D. If I said Dak, Micah, and CD will all sign extensions this year, would that be an overreaction?
I think it's an overreaction because that is a lot of work to get done in one offseason. Complicated, high-end deals. We know from the past that Dak Prescott's contract extension talks have not always gone smoothly because of what the team has wanted, because of what Dak has wanted. So I think it's far-fetched to think that all three of these guys get extended by the time the season's over.
Well, and so if I guess if I were to ask you, is there one that you would lock? I mean, I can't not follow up on that. Who doesn't get an extension if they don't all get extension?
I mean, look, I think they have to do something with Dak Prescott's contract, but it could be as simple as taking salary, converting it into bonus to save some cap space. I don't know that we can count on him getting an extension. And again, I say that because it takes two sides. And the last time these sides tried to do this, it took a couple of years.
What's the ticking clock on that? When do they have to get that done by in order to be most advantageous? To redo his deal, however they do.
You can do that anytime you want. Like at the beginning of the league year, you can convert his they could do without doing anything other than converting salary to bonus, not even adding more void years. They could save about $18 million in cap space.
I get it. I guess what I'm saying is, when should we be saying if they don't get it done by then maybe there's something going on here?
Well, if they adjust the contract without adding years, without adding an extension, then that tells you that they're probably not close on extension talks. So that would have to be done by the middle of March when the league year starts because they're going to need that cap space.
All right, we will talk more about that one. I want to circle that one. No surprise, I have some Cowboys questions. We'll get to those. But, Dan, let me get to my next one. If I said Saquon Barkley will be on a new team next season, is that an overreaction?
I think it is because the Giants have the ability to franchise him again for about $12 million, which, considering the role he plays in their offense, isn't a bad price. Now, I do believe that they'll have extension talks again, and maybe they reach one. But if they don't, I think it's entirely possible the Giants decide just to keep him again on a one-year franchise.
D. Wood, you're a New Jersey guy now. Is Saquon a Giant for life, do you think?
I mean, judging by some of the comments by his teammates, it would be a prudent move. I mean, I just don't know because of the position that he plays and the injury history that you would be able to call him a Giant for life.
Let me get one more in here. I have particular interest in this. Hey, Graziano, if I said the New York Jets are going to sign T. Higgins, would that be an overreaction?
I think it is because the Bengals have the ability to franchise him as well. Now, we don't know what the Bengals are going to do. Jamar Chase is eligible for an extension as well. They have some other work. Tyler Boyd is a free agent. So they have some work to do on their receiving core, but they do value T. Higgins highly, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got an extension, and if he didn't, if he got franchised. The Jets may have other veteran receivers they have their eye on. We don't know what Aaron Rodgers thinks about T. Higgins. Obviously, they'd have to run it by him like they do everything else. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think it's an overreaction to assume that.
Neek, give me 10 seconds. What do you think?
What are you laughing at?
Yeah, I mean, I think the expectations as high as possible for the New York Jets is fun. It was great for offseason last year. And I'm looking forward to another good season for you and your Jets, Green.